Welcome to Donu'S Week, which is about what I've been up to for the past 7 days, the people I've interacted with, the places I've been to, the things I've done and not done, and the thoughts I've had. Okay, hi, thank God it's Friday. So, let's get into the diabetes update. I'm doing okay, not making tremendous progress, but still on the straight and narrow, heading towards trying to reverse the disease. My doctor reckoned it would take 3 months. Well, we're 1 month in, and so I'm still trying my best. No sugar, almost no carbs, etc. Now, what I've noticed is that almost anywhere I go, whether here or in London or wherever, if I mention that I have diabetes, there's always someone else in the room who either also has diabetes or is what is described as pre-diabetic. And it made me wonder why we do this to ourselves. You're born perfect in most instances, and then you slowly dismantle your health until you are in the full grip of a disease that could kill you or create some kind of terrible disability. I mean, we have a family friend whose leg was amputated because of diabetes. So why do we do it? And this issue also made me think about women in particular, and I actually wrote something down. I said, I've concluded that there are 3 or 4 types of women when it comes to this issue. There are those who gain the most pleasure from fitting into beautiful clothes and looking great while starving themselves and maybe not caring about food at all. Or even if they do care about food, they like food, they train themselves out of being obsessed with it and they eat very little so they can maintain their looks. Then there are those who do care about fashion but prefer food. That's me. And agonize and self-flagellate, which means beating yourself up constantly for not doing what it takes to fit into nice clothes and maintain your figure. And we do that because really deep down, we'd rather have a nice meal than a nice dress. And then there are those who only care about food and don't give a damn about fashion. Of course, there are those who don't care about fashion or food, but that's a very unusual category. So I'd like to know from all my ladies, whether they are diabetic or not, pre-diabetic or not, which category do you fit into? Okay, so let's move on to the highlights and lowlights of the week. I got to tell you about a really freaky lowlight. It's still giving me nightmares. A friend told me that someone she knows got 2 live catfish and she's too tired to, chop them up. I'm sorry, vegetarians, vegans, please don't be offended. This is a rather unpleasant topic for you. Anyway, she was too tired to chop them up, so she put them in a big basin, 2 catfish, covered them with water so they could, she thought, paddle away happily for a couple of, till morning when she was ready to deal with them and put them in her freezer. The next morning she was horrified to discover that one of the catfish had eaten the other one. That story, she says she cannot touch fat catfish ever again. She cannot eat it. Looking at it gives her the heebies, and I feel exactly the same way. I actually break out in kind of hives, and it's been giving me nightmares. I can't unsee that image. I can't remove it from my mind. So that was a definite low light of this week. But let's talk about happier things. I told you last Friday that I was about to attend the 90th birthday party of Uncle Sam Amuka, the owner of Vanguard, a newspaper I write for in Nigeria. And it was a great party. Everybody who was anybody in Nigerian journalism showed up, as did several other VIPs, politicians. The Olu of Warri, who is a traditional ruler from Uncle Sam's birthplace, was there, very grand, with all his attendants. And we had a nice time. So that was definitely a highlight. And then that was in Lagos. And another highlight was the launching of a poetry book by Professor Mark Nwagwu, a very, very talented 88-year-old man. He's a professor, a scientist, but since he retired, he's also done a lot of creative writing. And he's written several collections of poems, most dedicated to his late wife, Helen, whom he adored. She was also a professor. Anyway, so the latest one is called Curved Fortunes. And I recommend it to anybody. I'm sure it'll be available on Amazon. And so that was nice, particularly since it was in a lovely venue, which is such a Pan-Atlantic university on the outskirts of Lagos, which is a kind of art gallery and museum kind of building. So the highlights, both of my highlights for this week, involve two grand old men who are still going strong. And, I say, may they continue to earn respect and bring joy to those around them. So now it's time for the weekly segment called Food for Thought. And I mentioned to you last week or the week before that I had a friend called Arthur, whose mother, Adeline, was like a mother figure to me and an aunt. So she's not my blood aunt, but I was very close to her. And I met her in London when she used to come all the way from Sierra Leone to London to see her beloved boy, Arthur. And she always used to talk wistfully about her house on Wilkinson Bypass in Freetown, the capital of Sierra Leone. And I always intended to go and visit her there, but sadly I didn't make it before she died in 2011. So, but I did go there on a little pilgrimage when I was in Freetown a few days ago. And my food for thought is that, there's some people who just stay with you forever, even if you haven't seen them for 10 years, 20 years. Whether they're dead or alive, they're just people who make a special mark on your life. And I suppose I see each one of us as, how they say it takes a village to raise a child. If, in a healthy environment, everybody should really be involved in, child rearing and child care. At least that's what Africans think. I think it takes a village or a kind of like a group to make a person. So I look back on my life. I mean, I'm 65 now, so I'm no spring chicken. And when I handpick people whom I will never forget, people who have shaped my existence apart from my parents and my immediate family. And there aren't that many of them, actually. I mean, you've got lots of friends over the years. You make friends at school, university, in all the places you've worked. But there are people who have a very special impact on you. And I do get the feeling that people like Auntie Adeline are kind of still here with me. They're still part of my village. It's just I can't see them. And I'd love to know what you think about that. I mean, this is the second time in a month that I have talked about people who have passed away having some kind of influence or pull on me. And I'm sorry if that sounds morbid to some of you, but maybe it's because I'm closer now to the grave than I am to the cradle. I am quite preoccupied by these things. And so let me say again, rest in peace, Auntie Adeline. I think you're around somewhere. And thank you for all those lovely meals and conversations. See you next week.